Sip on this. My boss is a bitch. Literal bitch. She's a female dog. And I'm my own boss, so whatever. Whatever you want to call me today, that's what I am. I work from home. Now, while it sounds dreamy and delightful, it is until you realize you haven't left the house in 3 days. Not me. I make it a point not to, and we're going to go through that today. Or your office is in the corner of your dining room table. And yes, I could be guilty of that. I like to spread myself thin. And somehow, you're still exhausted by 2 p.m. Maybe, but I'm not, because I actually love what I do. Welcome back to Sip on This. I'm your host, Deirdre Haggerty. I'm the founder of Coaching with Miss D. I'm a certified career, relationship, and life coach, helping you navigate the messy middle of work, reinvention, and living a life that actually feels good, like working from home. I am so excited you're joining me today to have a conversation, coffee in hand, as we chat about life, careers, relationships, and all the little things that can shape who we are. I won't lecture you or tell you what to do. It's just the two of us, sometimes more when I have guests, in my cute little coffee shop behind me, and we are chatting. We are chatting about topics that make us laugh or drive us nuts or even hurt us or make us thrive, like remote work from home. Today, we're talking about something so many of us have dreamed about until we actually started doing it, working from home. Whether you're remote for years, you just started, or even you're a housewife or a house husband, that's still work from home. You know, working from home doesn't mean that those things aren't work as well. I'm old school like that. If I worked from home, taking care of kids or cleaning my home, that was work. So whether you've worked remote for years, whether you just started, maybe you're into your second act careers. Did you watch that episode a couple weeks ago? That lets you work from home anywhere. This episode is a reminder that you deserve a workspace and a work life that supports you and doesn't drain you. And you can make this work. Okay, I'm going to go through all of these different strategies, but I do want to kind of break it down what my day is like and how I remain sane from working from home, because it's really, really important to encompass a work-life balance and still have all of the perks from working around other people, but also the perks of having your pajama bottoms on and nobody knows it, which is lovely. So I mentioned my dog. My dog is my buddy. I do have a son who's home. He's working and he's in and out of the house, and but I do make it a point to have my day very much strategized to taking care of myself, to taking care of my business. Because if I'm not taking care of myself, I'm not taking care of my business. And I love being around my dog. She makes me happy. She brings me peace. And I love working from home because I happen to live in a space where I am surrounded by light, and the light brings me joy. So my day begins. Just because I work from home doesn't mean that I am sleeping in, going to bed late. No, I'm working and I am scheduled. So depending on the amount of clients I have per day, what's scheduled, what networking events I have, generally speaking, I'm waking up between 5 and 6 a.m. I do a lot of self-help at that time. I do set my intentions for the day. I write in the journal what I want to accomplish. I meditate for about 25 minutes. I do a morning meditation. I open up my shades and I take a beautiful look at the bay, and I thank God every morning for another day. I also pray before I even get out of bed. I pray for the day. And then I drink water in the morning. I drink about 28 ounces of water, and then I'll make my coffee. And again, depending on the timing, I'm either going to have my coffee and maybe check some emails while I'm having my coffee, or I'm going to go for a walk with my husband. Doesn't matter what the weather is. We've walked when it's freezing. We walk by the water. It's cold. He doesn't love the rain. Neither do I. But we're walking. And in that 40-minute walk, we're also doing a gratitude practice. I got this from Michael Manifestation. I follow this man on TikTok. He's wonderful. But living in gratitude is really important for setting your intentions and sets my stage for my entire day. And I do 9 things that I'm grateful for while on the walk, and I do it within 9 minutes. And it's not just what I'm grateful for, but why am I grateful for it and what it means to me and how it helps and shapes my life. And through osmosis, my husband started doing that. Then after that, so I'm out of the house, right, for that amount of time. Then after that, I drive my husband to the railroad station where he takes his train to commute to work. And then I start my day. And again, it all depends on what appointments I have, but I will usually do an edit of my book, check emails, meet with clients, and then I leave my home, not every day, but couple of times a week or a couple of times a month. I will go to some networking meetings where I'm meeting with individuals who are all trying to support each other because they all do basically the same thing as I do. They may not be a coach, but they all work from home or have a home office, or they're solopreneurs where they have an office and they may not have a team. And it's so that we have community. So I do that a few times a week, a few times a month, depending on the actual networking event. And I also volunteer personally. I volunteer in hospice care, where I go to nursing homes and I meet with a patient. And I love it. And that I do for myself. I do break to eat, but I'm eating while I'm working. I have my dog with me, and like I said, she's very bossy. She stands at the door when she has to go out, and she stares at the couch when she wants to get lifted. And she's not bossy, but I love being with her. And then depending on, again, my schedule of clients, then I will either make dinner or have dinner prepared over the weekend, do a little meal prep. All of this brings me till about 8 o'clock at night. I do paperwork. I go back to pick my husband up from the train station and then do some final thoughts before bed and go to sleep. That is my day. It is very much full of work. However, I do take time for myself. So let's talk about the environment and how the environment shapes your energy. Okay? Where you work. When your workspace is chaotic, your mind is chaotic. I do have an office. But like I mentioned before, sometimes, and especially if my son's not home, I don't like to eat in my office. Even though that's a separate space in my room, this podcast studio doubles as my office. So when I'm not doing the podcast on Fridays are set for podcasts, I am sitting in here, and that's where I meet with my clients in private. But sometimes I do like to be out in my dining room where the light is really bright, and I love to be around the sunlight. And those times, like that whole bottom end of the dining room table is my space, but I do not keep it chaotic, okay? But if you don't have a spare room like I do, and I didn't get that spare room until number 3 son moved out, so now that I have it, I didn't always have it. I always had to use either my makeup table in my bedroom, a small little place, or my living room table. And you don't need a Pinterest-worthy office to feel grounded either. You just want to make sure it's not chaotic. So here's what matters. You have a designated spot that signals this is where I work. And you might not be getting in your car, and I know I said smell before, but I do shower every day. And I gather, I'm not getting in my car, but once I drop my husband off, my office space, whether it's in the dining room or in my office, is set up and ready to go. My computer is on, my notebook is out, My planner is there. Everything I need, and my phone, because my calendar is there as well. So everything is in that spot, and my water. It is my designated work spot. I have a comfortable chair. What you can't see right now is I have this really comfortable little desk chair, and it says "Hello, Gorgeous" on it. That's back to my days of being a hairstylist. So I love my chair, and my dining room chair is also comfortable. And you want a comfortable chair that doesn't pay chiropractor bills, but it also doesn't need to break the bank either. Okay, lighting. I mentioned that. Lighting is so important. When my first home had not so much light when we moved in. It had an awning. We pulled that awning down. I wanted the natural light. I've always been obsessed with light because sunlight brings you joy. When I lived in Brooklyn, we had tons of light in my living room and in my bedroom. Again, great atmosphere. Some of my workspaces when I worked outside of the home, like when I was the executive director of the one school, my office was in the middle of other offices. I had no light. I would always navigate to the front window where I could be around sunlight, or I would walk out the door. Briefly, I worked as a medical receptionist when I moved to New Jersey because I had to work. So I work. There was no sunlight. I would have to walk out. And that was truly depressing for me. Lighting keeps you awake and it keeps you calm, especially the natural light. You also want a surface that stays clear except for essentials. So that's why I don't eat in my office. I may have a coffee cup, I may have my water, but I won't have anything else. And when I go into the dining room, and that's usually to eat a meal, I will bring my laptop with me. But again, it's a very clear space, and as soon as I'm done eating, I am cleaning that off. Now, even if you live in a small space, your brain will respond to visual boundaries. So what can you use? A folding table. What you can't see in this podcast is this setup, this layout here. This table was something my husband designed, and it's sitting on top of a folding table. My desk is hidden behind the green screen. I have plants in here. I actually have 2 really pretty plants in my office when the green screen isn't up and the sunlight is peering through. Right now, for the holidays, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, I have my plants. If you've watched my podcast, I always have flowers. I have flowers everywhere. Cheap. ShopRite, Trader Joe's, $5.99. I cut them up and I put them in little vases all over my house. A rolling cart. In our home office, my husband and I, if you watch the episode about with my husband and I marriage advice, we had a business and we had a home office as well when we weren't in the brick and mortar. And we had rolling carts. Like I had tons of office supplies in the rolling carts. And if you have other people in your home, if you have roommates or if you have children, you definitely want a privacy screen. Noise canceling headphones, especially if you do what I do. You need noise canceling headphones. You cannot have somebody interrupting when you're listening to a client. Very important. And it's not about the size. It's not about the size. It's about the intention. So when you sit down, your body should know, okay, we're in work mode. While this chair is comfortable and cushiony on my little butt, I know the way this is positioned around my body, I'm in work mode. When you close your laptop, your body should know we're done. Little trick that I do to signal in my brain, because my brain will keep going and I will ruminate. I needed to do this. I needed to do that. I'm getting it all out of my head when I grab my planner and jot down what I didn't accomplish today. Maybe there was something in my agenda that I needed to get to. Maybe it wasn't so imperative, but still something that had to get done. So I will note that, because when I'm done, when I leave this house around 8:15 to go pick my husband up, I'm done. My laptop is closed. And if there's something I still need to do, like I said, I will note it. And it does. It really does leave my brain. So, time management. Time management's really important. You've heard me mention my favorite podcaster is Mel Robbins. Congratulations, Mel. I know you're not watching my show, but congratulations on your Golden Globe nomination. Well deserved. Hear, hear. And by the way, I love the Maria clip TikTok, changing the tire. I've seen that months ago. That was very funny. But I saw on one of her podcasts about time management, and I mentioned my planner. My planner, I may write down what I do, but I also block off the time. My time is blocked off. Now, my time is blocked off for clients, so when somebody books into my day, obviously that's going to take away from maybe other things that I need to do. But when I want to edit my book, if I don't have clients in the morning, my time is blocked off from 10 a.m. to 12. That's when my brain is the freshest. And when I put it in my planner, I put it in there as such. So that was a little tip I got off of one of Mel's podcasts, but it helps because working from home does give you flexibility. But if you don't protect your time, it could also become chaos. We're not sitting at home doing nothing. We're sitting at home and we are working. So here are some additional time management anchors that will help to keep you sane. The power hour. So I told you what I do. Now again, what I do, what other people do, as I say at the end of every episode, live your authentic self, your version, no one else's. These are suggestions. You do what works for you. The power hour is your first hour. It sets your tone. Now, data has shown, scientific data, that that's when our brains are more capable of receiving. We are at our most creative. So you don't want to spend it reacting. You want to spend it organizing. And today I had a guest. I like I said, it's podcast day. I could have reacted. I broke one of my coffee cups. I spilled coffee. I use a French press. It didn't press down properly. It dismantled in the dishwasher, and when I put it back together, I didn't put it back together properly. There were coffee grinds everywhere. I didn't react. I didn't react because I meditate in the morning. I just was like, okay. Me, a few years ago, would have reacted. But I didn't. I felt so bad. My husband cut his hand because I threw, and I know better, I didn't throw the broken coffee cup in a separate bag and throw it out. No, I just threw it in the garbage can. And my poor husband cut his finger. Terrible. So, task batching. Answer emails at set times, not all day long. So, like I said, when I'm having my coffee, I will look at my emails. If I happen, and I probably look at these things maybe 3 times a day. So my structure is first thing in the morning, not first thing after I do my thing, because I am taking care of myself first. But when I get my coffee in hand and when I'm sitting at my laptop, I am looking at emails. The second time I will do it is in the afternoon, and the third time will be in the evening before I shut it down at night. And, sometimes those emails are clients and I have to send clients back their homework. But those are the 3 times that I do it. Group similar tasks together so your brain stops switching modes every 30 seconds. That's another reason I meditate, because it keeps my attention focused, because that's my brain. Every 30 seconds I'm going to be like, Now, I might not have ever been diagnosed with ADD, but if I'm self-diagnosing, maybe I do have a little bit of it. So I really do try to focus on that. Now, I have 3 aspects of what I do in my work from home. This is why my days can get very long. I am in the process of editing 2 books. They're written. One is this book. I'm completing a second edition, so I'm adding to it and editing. and then I'm editing a novel. I'm in my first edit of a novel that is completed. It's probably about a 400-page psychological erotica, we'll call it. So that's one portion of my day. The other portion is I'm a coach. And so as a coach, I am online with people on Zoom calls. And then I also am interacting with them, like I said, in emails, sending out their homework. The networking helps for me to have community, but also helps to get other business. But that happens usually very early in the morning, maybe at lunchtime or in the evening. So it doesn't really affect with my work day. And then it's promoting my business, promoting the podcast, and then Fridays, putting together scripts for the podcast. So I do a lot, and I don't have a team. I have somewhat of a team, a little bit of a team. I do have my husband, and I do rely on my children at times to help me with things, but that's it. That's it. Movement breaks. Absolutely. I mean, I used to have a Fitbit, and it used to go off. Didn't get my steps. My Apple Watch does the same thing. The last 10 minutes, it gives me a little reminder, to get up and move. If I'm in creative mode, I'm not getting up. I'm just not. I am focused on that book at the moment. Obviously, of course, if I'm with a client, I'm not getting up. But after that, that's when I will go take my dog outside. It's a great way to get up and move, and then I'll run around the backyard with her and get her some exercise and play. I do move in the morning, and then at lunchtime, because I kind of graze throughout the day, after I do my writing, I will do a quick 25-minute, 25-minute some type of strength exercise. If those things aren't appealing to you, do a reset every 90 minutes. Stand up, stretch. I always have water with me. Drink some water, reset. Water also, I sip water. If you're a client and you're watching this, and I've ever wondered why I have a glass of water and I'm constantly sipping it during our sessions, water actually calms me. And then at night, on occasion, not frequently, I am a teleclass instructor for a coaching academy. So but that's in the evening. That's additional. My end of day shutdown, and that does kind of get in the way of my end of day shutdown. But I like it. I like being an educator. So, but this is really big. You have to close the tabs. I am like a fanatic anyway about closing the tabs on my computer. I don't like to leave everything open. When I get on my husband's laptop, if he needs me to do something, if he needs me to look at something and edit in the podcast, it drives me nuts that he has all these tabs open, and force of habit, I'm constantly shutting them off on him. Sorry, babe. But it makes me crazy. Close the tabs. Close them. It helps your computer run better. I don't know if that's true. It's something I have in my head. Write tomorrow's tasks down that you didn't get to today. And if it was more than 3, then write down your top 3 and try to allocate for the rest of the week or the following week what else you didn't get done. Now, I have an excuse to walk away. I have to go pick my husband up from the train station. I don't have to, but I keep the car here. He could take the car, but he doesn't, because he'd have to pay for parking, and we save that money. It's not a lot of money, but we save it. And I have to walk away. If I didn't have to walk away to fetch him, then I still would walk away from my computer, because there's other things that I like to do. I like to start my day feeding my soul, and I like to end the day feeding my soul. And because I'm an author as well, I love to read. It's a little tip I got from Stephen King. Read, and then read more. I read self-help books. I read fiction. I think I'm reading 3 fiction books at a time right now, and I have a self-help book about meditation waiting on my shelf for my next read. This is what I love to do. And on occasion, I will grab a TV show. And like right now, I'm addicted to All's Fair. It's on Hulu. Just talked about it in my last podcast about divorce mediation. Feeding my soul. Not staying up all night watching it, but those two things I love to do at the end of the day. Watch a good program. On the weekend, maybe a movie with my husband if we don't have plans. And reading. I love to read. Your workday. I can't emphasize this enough, especially if you're working from home. It needs a beginning and an end. It needs a beginning and an end. Oh, and I also end my day with a shower. I'm that person who likes to shower before I get in the sheets. So it's soothing. It's a nice warm shower. It calms me. That lets my brain know my day is now done. Mentioned earlier, working from home, being alone. It doesn't necessarily mean being alone. And this is the most, or one of the most overlooked pieces of remote work, connection. We're not meant to be isolated. I think we all realized that during COVID, and when remote work became unbelievably popular, and then people were connecting on Zoom, but you're still not having that physical contact. There's nothing better for me than to be in the presence of other humans, which is why I network. And productivity will suffer when you're lonely, burnt out, and unmotivated. So here's how to build healthy socialization into your work from home life. Schedule a weekly coffee or lunch outside of the home. I happen to have wonderful coffee shops in this part of the Jersey Shore where I live. I mean, it's all along the Jersey Shore. It's just lovely, lovely coffee shops. But even if you don't, if you have a Starbucks nearby, grab a friend, grab a cup of coffee. Try to schedule at least one outside of the home. Join a networking group. I belong to 1, 2, 3. One meets twice a month. One meets once and the other 2 meet once a month. And they should align with your goals. One of them I may be leaving because that's not really aligning with my goals, but I'm not so sure about that. But you really do want it to align with your goals. And great things happen. You can make friends. You meet people. And you can support each other's businesses. And it's not just for that, but that ends up happening. Use co-working spaces for a half-day rest. So, they do rent them. If you have that opportunity, you can go rent a co-working space. They're everywhere. You can search it. I think Regis has a couple, depending on where you live. And of course, there's the whole salon spaces that all opened up everywhere. So if you want to be your own self-employed hairstylist, you don't have to work for a salon. You can work in a single station in the salon rentals. And they're beautiful. But there's also office spaces like that as well. Take virtual workshops, but keep your camera on so you're part of the room. And if you're a woman, or if you're a man who likes to wear makeup, I'm not discriminating here, but you don't need to have makeup on to jump in these rooms. I mean, be comfortable. Or if putting makeup on makes you feel good, then do it. And don't underestimate the power of talking to other adults who understand your work life. Even if you take a second and go walk around your neighborhood, stop to talk to a neighbor, stop to say hello. Connection is not a luxury. It's a maintenance. And if you know anything about blue zones, if you've heard any of the research, if you've watched the Netflix documentary, where the blue zones are located, the people in those blue zones who live the longest, they're the ones with some type of community, some type of relationships, being part of something. So you really want to keep that in mind. And then also when you network from home, you want to build your circle and build your future. one of the things that literally drives me nuts is because I've done some networking online, and I won't mention the group or the social media site that promotes this, but I did a networking event, and as a coach, I was hoping to meet other coaches, and it was all social media people who wanted my business. They didn't care. They didn't want to hear a word about me. I never went back to them. And that actually drives me nuts. Like on LinkedIn, like I would just at first, and I've been on LinkedIn for a while, but at first on LinkedIn, it was like, yeah, sure, this person wants to connect. Sure. Now I'm a lot more discerning. If we don't have anything in common, I look at that person. Where are you from? And what is your background, and what is your job title? Because if you're somebody who has anything to do with SEO or building social networks, I am not accepting you, because you dive into my direct messages bombarding me. And if I don't answer you, you're on my emails or you're sending me messages on all my social media. It is so bothersome. Because honestly, when I have to stop and I think I may have a message from a client and I stop to look and it's you pushing your business. I even have a person who teaches people how to DM other people and has a class on it. I understand the importance of it. I don't like it, and I'm not jumping into your direct messages to get your business. I'm going to make an online presence so you can see what I'm about. And if you want to hire me, if you want to use me as a career coach, a life coach, or a relationship coach, then you will find me. And the people who have truly, truly wanted me, they found me. So I'm not a big fan of that. WFH, working from home doesn't mean hiding behind your laptop. And this is where many people grow the fastest. So, here's a goal. When I'm working with people who are shifting careers, shifting to working from home, this is a goal that I give to them. What you want to do is set a goal for 2 new professional connections each week. Comment meaningfully on LinkedIn posts. Just don't like it. And LinkedIn will even prompt you for this. They'll say, what did you love or what did you like about this post? And tell them what you liked or loved. And if you can, attend at least one virtual event a month. There's this one group that I actually really love, and their networking events are always on a Friday. And it's rough for me to attend their events because this is when I'm filming my podcast, and it's usually at the time that I'm doing this. Reach out to former coworkers and reconnect. You'll never know who somebody would love to have a conversation with you about anything. How are you? What are you up to? And even if you live close enough, maybe that's the person you can go grab coffee with. Your network is a living thing. It grows when you nurture it. And it doesn't necessarily also have to be on LinkedIn. If you could do this on TikTok, you could do it on Instagram. If you have business pages for your business, you can comment meaningfully on all of those things. And then you want to protect your peace. Boundaries are the backbone. Boundaries aren't about telling other people. Boundaries are for you. Working from home definitely makes it easy to blur everything, and it can cause some friction in your home. I know with my children who have seen me when I was writing online or when I was writing my books, when I had sitting at my dining room table, it's constantly talking to me because they see me. And it's mom. And mom, I need you. Mom, I need you. Mom, I need you. And sometimes you just got to say, you got to set the boundary. You got to let them know when I'm here, when I have headphones in. If you cannot leave that space, just let somebody know, I'm available to speak at this time. Work time becomes home time. Home time becomes work time. Your kids are clamoring for your attention. Your husband is. My husband heard a conversation on the way home last night, and I had a client who was divulging some personal information, which I'm not going to reveal, and I'm not breaking confidentiality, but it's something that broke my heart. And I was very upset, and I couldn't wait to see my husband to give him a hug. Ironically, when he was on the train, he heard these two women talking, and the one woman was a social worker, and she works from home. And her husband is always like, well, why isn't my dinner ready? And it's just, yes, she's working from home. Yes, she doesn't have a commute. But my husband said, the conversation was about how emotionally draining it could be. And it is. It could be. And that emotional drain is exhausting. And then you're stopped because you're exhausted and you may have put everything down. Now you're answering your emails at 10 p.m. No, you don't want to do that. You absolutely need the boundaries. So create a start time, whatever that is for you. I told you how I structure my day. My literal work time, though, starts at about 9:45, even though I may check some emails around 7-ish. It depends. Make an end time every day, 8:15 for me. Every day, except for Fridays. I end a little early when I'm done with the podcast. A workspace that signals clocked in. A workspace that ends when you shut it down. I close my office door. My laptop is closed. My laptop does not come into my bedroom with me at all. The only thing that comes into my bedroom with me is my journal, because I forgot to say that at the end of the day, when I'm sitting in bed right before I read or I watch a program, I journal 5 things I'm grateful for. I make notes on the day of what I loved, and then I set my intentions again. I do a little manifestation. Communication with family, so your job is respected. Like I told you, I had a conversation with my son the other day of this, and this, and he understood. It was after I got annoyed, and I shouldn't have got annoyed. But I didn't let him know my boundaries, and now he's aware of them. Those boundaries are support beams. And you know what? Your family will completely understand. You just have to tell them, and you can tell them with kindness. And that's your reminder today. You can create a work from home rhythm that protects your peace, boosts your productivity, and keeps you connected no matter the size of the space or the season of your life. I love the season of my life. That's cute. So if today's episode spoke to you, do me a favor. Share this episode with somebody who works from home and needs a reset. Or share this episode with somebody who's thinking about transitioning to working from home and leaving their job. And maybe they're looking for a coach. And if you're looking for personalized coaching to create structure, confidence, and clarity in your career or your next chapter, visit my website, coachingwithmisty.com, and book a session with me. You can even have a free 15-minute call. That's all we need to figure out if it's going to work for you. Thank you for listening to Sip on This. Until next time, take care, stay grounded, and sip on what makes you feel good. Let the dog out. And remember, your workspace should support your success, not compete with it. And live your life as your authentic self, your version, and no one else's.